You're looking at freed U.S. Marine Amir Hekmati. He's returned to the United States. He had been held captive for the better part of 4.5 years, returning to his family and friends. We don't know if he plans to speak to the press. He's been very reluctant to do that, reticent to do that. If he does, we will take it. Are there microphones there? Can we pick up on that?
It's great to be back in Flint, my hometown. I love this city. I love its people. They've been so good to me and my family, and we're very grateful. Happy to finally be home. It's been a very long road, a very long journey. Unfortunately, many people have traveled this road with me, but despite all the difficulties, thank God, thanks to everyone's support, everybody from the President, Congressman Kildee, everyday Americans, I'm standing here healthy, tall, and with my head held high. So I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate everyone's support once again.
Can you talk about seeing your mom and your dad?
Thank you very much.
Okay. What now? What will you do now that you're home?
I plan to do various things.
All right. He left there. He's known to be very focused just on getting home. We waited 4.5 years for this. You know the story. It's become almost lore now here, where he was going to Iran. He wanted to visit an ailing grandmother. The Iranians seized him, said he was actually a spy, held him in this sort of back and forth negotiating bit where ultimately he and 3 other Americans were part of a deal between the Iranians and the Americans to finally close the Iranian deal and in part bring him and his 3 colleagues and American friends home. We have former U.S. Army helicopter pilot Amber Smith. Now, Amber, I think you've expressed about happy to see that guy come home. He is an American Marine after all, but you worry about the means under which it was done, right?
Yeah, it is absolutely a great day for the United States of America to have our fellow Americans back on U.S. soil. I think it's able to say that everybody is cheering for him, that he is home. But big picture, I think we need to remember why we don't do deals with terrorists like we did with the Bergdahl swap. And the reason that we don't do deals with rogue nations, state sponsors of terrorism like Iran, the way we just did with the nuclear deal, it sets an incredible, dangerous precedent. And it puts a price tag on every American's head that travels overseas. And so you're going to see everyone from low-level terrorists to rogue nations like Iran trying to get their hands on American citizens because they know the United States is now going to negotiate. And we just saw 3 American contractors abducted in Baghdad.
They say, we try to get a representative of the administration here, but they always argue, no, this wasn't a separate swap deal. We were trying to iron out the last remaining details. This was very important to us. This Iranian deal was important to us. And this is actually an extension of that. You clearly don't buy that. Many others, by the way, do not buy that. But these guys are home. You're saying that it's going to incentivize bad guys to take more of our guys, right?
It absolutely is, and I do think the timing is a little suspicious in terms that the U.S. People that were being held inside Iran were released just hours before Secretary Kerry announced that Iran had complied with the terms of the deal and that they would be releasing these crippling economic sanctions as well as over $100 billion in frozen assets. And so I think the United States, they sort of have been nervous from the beginning about Iran walking away from the deal. So I think they wanted to make sure at the very end, see it through. It's why they didn't want to put any sanctions on when they fired the recent ballistic missile testings as they did. They just wanted to make sure Iran stayed in the talks and went through the deal with them.
Well, we'll never know the details, but we do know this much. It's become, a hot political issue. As you know, Donald Trump says you don't make deals like this. Ted Cruz saying much the same thing. But I always wonder, and, as a former pilot, these are dangerous areas, and people are going to be taken. We just had 3 taken the other day in Iraq. And I'm wondering what our posture should be. We obviously don't pay ransom. That's our policy. Should we talk to the government? What do we do in those events?
Well, look, I think we have to have a very strict guidelines in terms that throughout our history, it is standard that the United States does not negotiate with terrorists, and we don't do prisoner swaps. Other countries do, but the United States doesn't. And so I think that needs to be what is known across the world, especially in these terrorist organizations where, you know, if they capture someone, they have got to know that obviously the United States is going to do whatever we can to get them back, and we have ways of doing that. But it is not going to be through a prisoner swap, or we're not going to pay you a ransom, and we're not going to negotiate politically with whatever your ideals are because you've captured one of our own.
All right, very good having you. Amber Smith, former helicopter pilot, U.S. Army, thank you for your service and just answering these questions.